the acquisition of this would take 6 months to a year before you figured it all out, where TikTok would still be up and running in the United States. Look, I'm an M&A guy from Goldman Sachs. You're not going to complete a transaction in 45 days. The way they talked about some sort of preliminary discussion about whether it can be done or not. So, Dan, David, you're all over these Chinese companies, these CCP-run companies, about all their malfeasance. What do you think of the situation here?
Obviously, TikTok and ByteDance already have too much information about us. They've been gathering it on, 80 to 100 million people who use TikTok. And now we're saying the good news is they'll send it back to us. Sure, they don't have a copy of it. And as far as them installing a back door and us ensuring that they don't do that, they've already done it. You just have to notionally think about this. The president said for this to even be possible to happen, ByteDance would have to divest from TikTok. ByteDance said in one day, sure, no problem. When's the last time China said, sure, no problem on a negotiation? It's when they're all set and ready to go. They're willing to give up that much in one day? No.
Dan, here's what I don't understand. With all the regulatory apparatuses we have, with the SEC, with the FCC, all this regulatory, one of the reasons the American capital market is so robust is the underlying order that's put in by the deplorables that run our civic organizations and build our communities. But we also have a regulatory apparatus, and what makes the liquidity in our market so deep. How did the regulatory apparatus across the board not catch the fact that you had a Chinese Communist Party, essentially intelligence apparatus, that was going to burrow deep into America and particularly to American youth?
Well, I think that going back to administrations, we had our eye off the ball in the Middle East in the Bush administration. And, for lack of a better way of putting it, President Obama's way of negotiating with China was to say, please and thank you. That was his foreign policy effort. And that just does not work. China is somebody that you have to push to the edge before they're going to back off. And we're doing that to some degree. We could still do better. But we now know that they are in every apparatus we have. These apps, I've studied these apps. Understand that these apps can turn on your phone. They can turn on your recorder. They can turn on your camera. They can make calls. They can intercept your texts. And these are just the average apps in China. So what TikTok can do is really unthinkable. And it's already done a lot of damage for us. And, God forbid we tell our teenagers that this is not good for you and start parenting again. They should not be using this app right now, much less allowing Microsoft, who has an abundance of military contracts, is very much so integrated to our government, to integrate with TikTok and ByteDance.
Listen, you for a living look at these companies. Give people a summary before we turn to Bill Gertz. Give a summary of what's the way they comport themselves here in America. These Chinese Communist Party, these CCP-controlled companies, both on accounting standards, technology standards, et cetera. What's your overview of where we stand now with Chinese Communist Party infiltration into our capital markets?
Well, unfortunately, what we have to understand is largely the most effective foot soldiers for the Chinese Communist Party are our Fortune 500 company CEOs who only worry about the next quarter and making their numbers and the next year. They're not worried about 5 years down the road. And largely, especially our investment banks, they are not an American investment bank. They're worldwide. They're beholden to shareholders, not the United States. I don't care what they say. So they don't want things to change. They want to continue to do things the way they've been doing them, make a profit, record profits at our expense. And if you want to look at what's happened just in the last 3 months, ByteDance has spent $1 million in the last 3 months lobbying Congress. How is that possible? I mean, that's really a foreign-controlled entity. They should not be able to hire lobbyists in the first place. But here we are, $1 million in the last 3 months, and that buys you a lot of sway in Washington.
if you were in the Oval Office this morning, what would be your recommendations to the President of the United States of the actions he has to take regarding TikTok and ByteDance?
It's not even considerable. Go away. We should not have that app here in the United States as it is. Microsoft, being so involved in our military and our cloud computing and storing our vital information, it should not even be a consideration that we have TikTok as a so-called American company. Oh, and by the way, the China operations will still be run by ByteDance. Now, how in the hell are you going to do that? We're just going to run the U.S., U.K., Australian operation. They still run the China operation because think about this. China wouldn't even consider letting us in China run ByteDance or run TikTok. But we are fighting over whether we should do it here.